Hello everyone, it is Susan here from Susan Hiles Art and welcome to my channel. So today we're starting a new project. I'm going to call it Stamp and Sew. And I could even call it Stamp and Stitch. Ooh, I don't know. I guess I'll go with Stamp and Sew. And if anybody wants to join in, please do. Maybe if you see a hashtag there, which I'll probably have, if you want to use it, you can. But anyway, so I'm going to start with this new project, which is going to include stamping and stitching, some sort of sewing. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I shared all of my thoughts and my ideas in a video from 2 days ago. I actually posted a Crafty Chit Chat and slow stitching video on a Saturday. Can you believe it? I think I threw a lot of people. In fact, I haven't even had a chance to go in and respond to all the comments, so I am getting around to that. But anyway, so I will do my best to remember to post the link to that video below. And so what I'm going to do, simple, right? Think simple. That's where my head is at right now, and that's what I'm going to focus on. So I pulled out a bunch of yarns that I have, and I do have the variegated green, which is this one, on my needle, and I will be using it for the stem and the leaves, which are not going to be big because, I mean, this is small, right? This is going to be my flower, which you guys, I've showed it to you, and I have to because I love using these little yo-yos as flowers, so I have to do that. But before I do that, let's do the stamping part. So I am planning on every single 2.5-inch square stamping something on it. So that's why it's Stamp and Sew. So I have my Distress Archival ink in black soot. And I also have this stamp from Heidi Swap. Gosh, how old is this? This is from 2013. It's 10 years old. But this is one of my most loved background stamp. And all I want to do with this is I just want to put some stamping on the back. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm probably just going to do a little bit of stamping down here. And I was just thinking I need to put something down so I don't stamp on my mat. Here we go. I'll just grab a piece of paper here. And let's kind of do this. Yeah, that's good. So I just have to decide which font I want to use. I think I'll just go with that right down in the corner. And it's this simple. So I'm going to go, because I don't want it to be neat and clean, right? So I'm just going to kind of do that. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Now, this is not the first time I have stamped on fabric. So the stamping part isn't new for me, but the sewing on it is new for me. So, like when I stamp, let's say, for example, when I stamp this leaf on one of these squares, I'll be stitching inside of it, right? So that's the new part. You know what? I think I'm going to put a little bit up here. So I'm just going to kind of go to this corner, just get a little bit of ink, and let's just do that. Okay, perfect. I love it. Let me hold it up so you can see. Okay, let me move all this stuff out of the way. And so you can see it's faint. It's a background, right? So background should be subtle. I mean, unless you don't want it to be subtle, but in this case, I do want it to be subtle. And so I have the two stamps there. And now I'm going to sew the flower. and the stem and the leaf. So the first thing I want to do is let's go ahead and get this on. Now, to keep it easy and in my normal, typical style, I'm just going to put one French knot in the middle, and I usually like to use like a thicker yarn, and this is perfect. It happened to be on a needle. It's not necessarily the right color, but that's all right. It's only going to be one little French knot, so it's not like a big deal. And I'm just going to go in the middle, go 3 times. Whoops, 1, 2, 3. And this is what's going to hold down my yo-yo. A lot of people will go ahead. Oh, come on. Ooh, ooh, come on. Oh, that was hard. A lot of people, when they use a yo-yo for flowers, they also will sew down around the outside of the yo-yo to hold it down, but I'm not going to do that because this is all about easy. And I don't normally do that, so, you know, I don't feel like I need to do that. But if you like doing that, you do that. Okay, so that's that. So the yo-yo's on. My little French knot is a little funky looking, but that's okay. All right, so now I am going to do the stem and then we'll do the leaves. So I figure, you know, with a stem, you normally want something that is a solid, looks solid, right? Like a solid looking stitch. You don't necessarily want it to be broken up like a straight stitch. So I'm going to do the back stitch so that it looks like one solid line. I hope that made sense. So the back stitch is where you start, right? You start it, and then what you do in the next stitch, I'm going to go up and I'm going to come out from underneath up here. And then I'm going to go backwards. Now, what I'm finding interesting, so I'm going back to the stitch before it, is, so this is variegated yarn. And even though it has a lot of green in it, this section that I am sewing with right now is like a yellow. Well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I mean, if it really bothers me, I'll change it, but right now I'm cool with that. And so I will be making a wall hanging with this. I'm going to do 9 of these squares. And then we'll do the wall hanging. It's going to be a small wall hanging, about 7.5 by 7.5 inches. Well, it'll be bigger than that, actually. It'll be probably maybe 9 by 9 inches. Well, I don't know. I have to see how exactly I'm going to do it. Okay, so there we go. And so we have the stem. And now let me knot that off. And we can do the leaves. So one thing about leaves is I like having multiple colors. In my leaves. And I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get of different colors when the leaves are going to be so small on these squares. But I do know one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm using a section of this yarn that is darker. So let me go ahead. I'm going to cut that off. And then this way I know I'll have darker yarn. Okay. I mean, there's all different kinds of leaves. I can do leaves that come down from up here, right? From under the flower. I could do that. So like if you're doing, I was gonna say like a tulip, or a rose, a lot of times that's the kind of leaf that you might want to put there. You don't have to, but in this case, you know, some leaves are also very, I'm going to say, tall and narrow, right? Some will go way up close to the flower and back down. Some are very rounded, so some will be more like that. And I think maybe that's the kind I'm going to put. Well, let's see. I don't know. Let me just start. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to continue with the back stitch, a little bit bigger stitches though, a little bit longer, I should say. And I'm going to create the shape, or close, the shape of a leaf. Okay, and then I'm going to come back down around here. I want to keep this pretty wide, so I'm going to not get too close to this down here. All right. So that's the one leaf. Now the tricky part, and it doesn't have to be exact because in nature, leaves are all different shapes and colors. But I'm going to go ahead and start on the other side over here. Okay, and I keep looking at it, right? I don't want it to be like really like huge. Like I don't want this leaf to be huge and this one not huge. So I am just looking just a little bit to make sure that they're similar enough. And now I'm getting into that lighter thread color, but that's okay. Or yarn color, I should say. And last stitch, and then we're going to fill it in. What I might do, this little French knot is driving me nuts. What I might do is I might switch to pearl thread. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. Decisions. So this is the little flower with the little leaves so far. I could even sew some grass on this. You know what? I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to put just a little bit of grass, and then we're going to go ahead and finish the leaves. So I'm going to do different lengths, but I'm going to come back down to almost the same spot at the bottom. Some can be closer than others. Some can be further apart. These are just real, you know, loose blades of grass. That's all. So I'm going to do that. And I'll do it on the other side as well. You could put on here as much as you want. You can make the grass as thick as you want or as tall as you want, or no grass at all. Let's see. So I'm back to the light color thread. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. It's almost white though. It kind of matches the color of the canvas. Gosh, you know. So much for picking a yarn that I thought would be nice and colorful. Oh well. What are you gonna do? I can see it up close. I don't know if you can or not. But that's my little grass. And now let's do the leaves. I wonder if I have you know what? Hold on a second. Let me look here in this bin for some darker green, like this right here. Perfect, right? So I have this green. I have like a khaki green. I'm just gonna pull this whole little, let's pull this out. And I'm gonna pull a strand of this out too. Totally just messed that up. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna just cut it. That's a good thing about working with threads and yarn. You can just cut it anywhere you want. All right, I think what I'll do is we're gonna go ahead. Oh, look at this. Wait a minute. Whoa, 1 second. I have some. It looks like right here. But this I can tell I probably, like, this is one strand. You know what? I think I'm gonna start with this. I keep changing my mind on what I'm doing here, but that's okay. So what we're gonna do is, I think what I'll do is probably my least favorite stitch, and that's the satin stitch. I do not like the satin stitch because, I don't know, it's just hard, I think. It's hard to keep the threads or the yarns close together. I don't know, maybe I'm not gonna do this stitch. No, you know what, I'm gonna stick with it. Let's just do it. I have to put a bunch on here. See, that's why I should have, I'm gonna switch. This yarn is too narrow. It's not gonna fill it up, it looks yucky. I mean, in the end, I think it will look fine once I get all of the stitching done. It's gonna look fine, but I don't know. I don't have the patience, everybody. I just don't. This is a perfect example of my patience level. I'm like, that's gonna take too long. Forget that. All right, I'm gonna go back, I think, to this here, if I can get it into the needle, okay? We're gonna use this. See, the reason why I was trying the other one first is because this is going to look chunky in there, right? Like, so far, what's on here is thin, narrow, right? There's no heftiness to it. But I'm going to change that right now. And I don't know if I want to change it, but we're going to do it. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing I was just doing. But so I think you're just going to have to bear with me on this. I have to make sure I'm not coming out or where I just went in with the needle. Okay, bear with me, everybody. I know it looks funky right now. Hopefully it won't when I'm done. And what I want to do is I do want to switch up the colors. And if I don't like it, I'm taking it out. So I'm doing a lot of thinking. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to do this one leaf first to see if I like it. So what I want to do is I want to switch colors now. I like this needle, so I'm going to stick with that needle. So what I'm thinking is, do I want to put some brown in with this, or a lighter green, or a totally different green? Let's go with a totally different green. Let's do the khaki green, and I guess I'll leave it with all the strands. This feels a little thicker than the green I was just using. No, we're gonna leave it. Let's just do it. So this is the part where I think it makes a leaf, where you have different colors. And it can mix up, so what I want to do, if I can, is almost come back in between. I hope you can see okay. In between the stitches that I did first. Oh yeah, okay, I'm liking it. I know it's like, it's chunky for sure. Chunky compared to the rest of it. Oh, I like it. I don't like that. I'm taking this out. Because it's driving me nuts. And that's gone. Do you think I'm like nuts? Oh my gosh. All right, come on. I'm gonna actually use this green that I'm working with right now for the yo-yo. Okay, so I like that. So let's knot this. I mean, it is definitely thick. For sure, very thick yarn. I think it's like 3 strands. I don't have to. Maybe I'll do 2 strands on the other. Yeah, let me do that. You know, and remember that the 2 leaves do not have to be identical, right? They do not have to be identical. Let's go ahead and let's get the yo-yo on again. So for people that have allergies, are you guys suffering with allergies? They're killing me. You can hear it in my voice. Absolutely killing me. And it's early. Usually I get my second bout of allergies like when the leaves are down, and you know, it's really when the leaves, you know, they turn beautiful reds and oranges and yellows, and they look gorgeous, and they fall to the ground and they're really just dead leaves. So right, they turn brown and yucky, and that's when I would get my next bout of allergies. But I gotta tell you, since a week and a half ago, oh, they've been back with a vengeance. All right, I don't like this one either. What am I doing? Somebody tell me. Oh, you know what? Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, I'm going to, I know what I did wrong. But I'm going to try not to have to take that out. Okay. I know, it looks like a mumbo jumbo what I'm doing right now, but it's not. I'm just trying to do that. Okay. So, all right, that looks better. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. So now I'm going to work on the other side. So I think I'll take this out and go back to the other green. Was that the one I used? I have so many greens right now on my, what did I do with it? Oh my gosh. Yes, that's it. Okay. I have so, oh my gosh, I just can't. I have so much on my desk. Okay, let's do this. So I'm going to go back and I will do the satin stitch on this side. And I think the satin stitch, you know, I don't know. I think a satin stitch usually looks very neat and clean, and mine don't, but that's okay. And I was out, oh, maybe this is why I'm struggling. I was out in my garden for hours this morning, and oh, I hurt my finger. I was clipping some flowers, and I don't know that you can see that that's going to end up as a blood blister, because I guess it was the way I was holding it, like in between where my fingers were on this hand, it like clipped my skin in between the two little handle things, and it hurt so badly. And yeah, that's going to be nasty, I'm sure. Okay. But I have, my sunflowers are doing great, my carrots, my tomatoes are going wild, my string beans are doing great. What else? My zinnia are dying back. My dahlias are doing great. I have a dahlia that hasn't bloomed yet, and the flower is like up to or the plant itself, the buds up on top are like up to my chin. They're so big. Oh my gosh. They're not all that tall, but that particular one is huge. So, and let's see, okay. And then once I get this done, I think that's going to be it for my first little square. I do believe that Carol from Recrafted by Carol is, you know, on occasion, I know she's working on stuff, and when it fits into what she's doing, I think she's also going to be doing some stamp and sew as well. So again, if anybody, and this isn't like an official collaboration, not like what I used to do. That is not what this is, but anybody that would like to join, like I said before, please do. Not even join, that's probably the wrong word. If you would like to, you know, do something similar, you know, with the stamping and the sewing, doesn't have to be like this. You do your thing, whatever you want to do, you do you. But yeah, you can, yeah, I'll create that hashtag, and so others can find you as well. But it's just very laid back, not a true collaboration. I just want to be really clear about that. All right, so I have a mess on the back for sure. But that's it. So that's my first little flower. Let me stand up so I can make sure you can see it okay. Isn't it cute? You can see the stamping. It just adds, like when you do mixed media, you know, you do layers of whatever you're using, whatever paints and, you know, sprays and stencils and pastes and all that. You know, papers, you do layers. And so I kind of feel like that's what this is. It gives that more visual interest. And I think it's super cute. And I haven't done anything exactly like this. I love it. Okay, flower number 1 done. So I'll be back next Monday with the next one. And I don't think I mentioned it yet, but you'll see that I changed the thumbnail of this series of videos, so that you can easily find the whole series. It's now like a purple and blue thumbnail. Yeah, so, but anyway, so that's it, and I'll see you next Monday. Have a wonderfully blessed week. Bye-bye, everybody.